This is going to be a long case in New York City. Better order some Chinese food. This seems to be a tough case. I better visit Science Joe.
It seems like you need to understand the concepts of muscle contraction and rigor mortis.
Yes, I do, Science Joe.
Let's get right to it.
Hey, Science Joe, how do I solve this case?
I've got a nifty motto here to help teach you the basics.
What he said.
Here is the neuromuscular junction. First, you can see that there are neurotransmitters located in vesicles that are in the axon terminal. The neurotransmitters are actively diffused out of the axon terminal and into the synapse. The neurotransmitters then bind to receptors on the sarcolemma, which sends an action potential to the T-tubule through sodium-potassium pumps. The action potential triggers the release of calcium in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The calcium ions then bind to the troponin in the actin, which moves the tropomyosin out of the way so that the binding sites in the actin are exposed. Next, ATP is used to move the myosin heads into a higher energy state so that they are able to bind to the actin.
Once the myosin heads are in a high energy state, the actin is able to bind to the myosin, creating a cross bridge. When the myosin heads bind to the actin is pulled closer to the M line. This brings the Z line closer to the M line. This move is what causes muscle contraction on a microscopic level. Once the muscle needs to be relaxed, ATP moves the myosin heads back into a low energy state. This is called the power stroke. This breaks the cross bridge between the actin and myosin, which allows the actin to move away from the myosin, moving the Z line back away from the M line.
During rigor mortis, the body will stop producing ATP. This is crucial because the sarcoplasmic reticulum uses active transport to release calcium. After this, the calcium will all be released. This will cause a high amount of calcium with little amount of ATP. The myosin will go to a high energy state and bind with the actin, using all of the available ATP. So there won't be enough ATP to break the cross bridge between the myosin and the actin. This will cause the muscle to stay in a contracted state.
Thanks, Science Joe, for explaining how muscle contraction and rigor mortis occurs.